I'd like to call the Monday, June 12th, 2017 Blue Springs Planning Commission meeting to order. And if I could please ask you to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening and all the commissioners and those that also that are watching. At this time, I'd like to go over the agenda. We have a full night tonight. First, we'll have the consent agenda. Second, we'll have the public hearing for the Gardens of Colonial Highlands. Third, we'll have the preliminary plat for Roanoke 22 Summerfield. The fourth item will be McDonald's site plan design review on 40 Highway. The fifth item will be McDonald's site plan and design on Southwest 7 Highway. Number 6 will be the 6, 7, and 8 all has to do with sports and luxury auto, but number 6 is the site plan design review, 7 a preliminary plat and final plat, and that's located on Woods Chapel Road. Number 9 is the master alternative sign plan for Snowball Cove on 7. 10th item is the master alternative sign plan for White Oak Marketplace. 11 is the master alternative sign plan for Neaters on Coronado. 12 is other business, and finally 13 will be the adjournment. So the first item we'll bring forward is the consent agenda. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Peil and Fairbanks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. The second item is a public hearing, and at this time I'd like to read the instructions for the public hearing that has to do with the Gardens of Colonial Highland. I'll open up the public hearing and I'll call for exhibits from our city attorney. The staff will then make their presentation and the applicant will then be able to make theirs. I'll call for witnesses in favor, then witnesses opposed. We'll have general discussion and questions by the commissioners. I'll close the public hearing and then we'll cast our vote. So at that, I think let's see, we have, you want to go ahead and start staff with, oh, I have to open it. Sorry, my first night. Call for exhibits from the city attorney for exhibits.
Madam Chairman, I offer into the record the following exhibits. Number 1, staff report with attachments. Number 2, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on May 27, 2017. Number 3, application with attachments. Number 4, 185 feet notification map. Number 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. Number 6, copy of letter sent to said property owners. Number 7, Title 4 Land Use Section Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. And number 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wright, you'll make our staff presentation.
All right, thank you, Chairman Banks and Commissioners. Before you this evening is a request to rezone property from County Agriculture to TF, which is the 2-family district. The subject property consists of approximately 24.03 acres and is located north of Southwest Wyatt Road between Timothy Lutheran and Colonial Highlands. The applicant, Salee Real Estate Investments, is requesting to develop the site as an extension of Colonial Highlands to the east and would like to develop approximately 64 duplexes on the site. Preliminary building elevations have been provided and they've been passed out to you. These were submitted by the applicant over the weekend. There's an illustrative plan review here that shows how this will connect to Colonial Highlands. It will be connected to Colonial Highlands through some of their interior walking trails that they are currently developing in the first phase of Colonial Highlands. And then they'll also have access from Major Road and Wyatt Road. Again, this is the new portion that's being rezoned is this sort of light pink shaded lots there. And they're proposing approximately 64 lots. Preliminary building elevations have also been provided in your packet. There's a 2-story plan as well as 3 single-story plans. These are for preliminary review tonight and are not being approved with this rezoning. Both the illustrative plan and building elevations are subject to change upon further review. And these items will also be reviewed with a PD concept plan and preliminary plat in the future. The proposed rezoning does meet the intent of the comprehensive plan, which classifies the area as a mixed-density neighborhood. And this also provides a transition buffer between the single-family district to the east. Sorry, let me pull the agenda back up. This provides a transition buffer between the single-family to the east of the site and then the more intensive commercial districts to the west along 7 Highway. And with that, staff does recommend approval of the rezoning, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do the commissioners have any questions for staff? Okay. I'd like to see if the applicant would like to come make their presentation. You'll need to be sworn in.
I do. Thank you, Madam Chairman. My name is Greg Musil, M-U-S-I-L. I'm an attorney with the Dowdett Fretz firm, 5250 West 116th Place, Suite 400 in Leawood, Kansas. I'm here tonight on behalf of Salee Development. Tyler Salee is here with me, as well as Matt Schlicht, who's the engineer and architect on the project. If you have specific questions that are way too tough for a lawyer, I'll ask them to come up here, and that might happen pretty quick. We're pleased to have staff recommendation. As you can see, and you may remember from a year and a half ago or so, when we brought Colonial Highlands through, we had a mixed product over there with some single-family homes and some twin homes, some paired homes. That has a clubhouse facility, a pool, walking trail, a wet detention area at the southwest corner. This is designed really to be an extension of that, and have an additional paired home community to the west. They will have a common homes association. They'll share the common amenities. They'll be able to use the pool and the clubhouse and the walking trails and everything else that Colonial Highlands residents will have. We believe it meshes nicely with that, and as Matt pointed out, it provides a buffer to the higher intense uses to the west. We are glad to have Timothy Lutheran Church as our neighbor to the west. The Salees intend to purchase the property from the church. The church has campus plans there that will be good, and we think will be a great neighbor to bring some folks that might use their school or their church. And I think Mr. Ryan is here tonight to speak on behalf of the church. Matt showed you, we understand that we want differences in style, differences in color, and we'll come back with the final floor plans and the final elevations, but we have 3 different single-story plans and 1 two-story plan. So this will look like, as you look up the street, it will look like a diverse community. It is one-car garages instead of 2-car garages, so we don't have to worry as much about the huge long look of a bunch of garage doors facing the street. One of the advantages of this site is it's an old nursery, so there are lots of trees on there. I don't know how to pull up an aerial photograph, but you can see the lines of trees that were there that we intend to use as much as possible. So we'll have some mature trees that you can place on the street and in some of the common areas. We'll be happy to answer questions as a team, and we hope you can support this rezoning tonight, and we can bring back the more detailed plans in the future.
Do any commissioners have a question? Have any questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask staff if there were any opposition letters that were sent in that are not part of the record.
Yes, no, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Hearing no other questions, I'll go ahead and close the hearing. What? Oh, yes. You want me to do that before I close? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. Is there anyone here opposed to this project? Anyone in favor of this project that'd like to come forward? Yes, sir. You need to be sworn in.
I do. My name is Ben Ryan, and I'm the president of Timothy Lutheran Church at 301 East Wyatt Road. And we support the project. I think it'd be great for Timothy Lutheran School, and we'd like to see this go through.
Okay,
So, thank you.
thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to come and speak in favor? Okay, now I'll close the hearing. All right, I would entertain a motion. This will be a roll call vote.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Wallace?
I'd like to make a motion for approval of the rezoning RZ 05-17-5836. Change the zoning from AG County Agricultural to TF 2-family. district.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Commissioner Haney? All right, now we'll have a roll call, please.
Planning Commissioner Craddolph.
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace.
Aye.
Commissioner Graham.
Aye.
Commissioner Fairbanks. Commissioner Peil.
Aye.
Commissioner Bartolotta.
Aye.
Commissioner Juhan.
Aye.
Commissioner Haney.
Aye.
Chairman Banks.
Aye. Okay, the motion carried. That will be heard. June
Yeah.
19th.
At 6
At
o'clock.
at 6 o'clock, city council will be heard June 19th at 6 o'clock. Okay. All right, now we'll go on to item 3, preliminary plat with Roanoke, and I think Mr. Wright's gonna present that one as well.
Yep, thank you, Chairman Banks and Commissioners. Before you this evening is a request for preliminary plat for Roanoke 22 of Summerfield East PRO. The subject property is located north of the existing Summerfield and Summerfield East subdivisions and contains approximately 21.69 acres and is zoned SF7 PRO, Single Family Planned Residential Overlay. An amended PRO concept plan was approved by the City Council on March 6th. The preliminary plat matches the approved concept plan with 52 single-family lots. A few tracks on the concept plan were combined to create 9 tracks now being proposed, but the same amount of open space has been maintained. The main point of access for the site will be through the extension of Roanoke Drive from Porter Road, which is plans have been approved or are in the process of being approved for that extension as part of the Four Pillars development to the west. The main, as part of the first phase, the first extension would have to be from the Four Pillars section down to where the red line stops there at Overland Drive. That would allow Overland Drive to be extended and the first phase of development there, the 9 lots south of Roanoke, to be developed. The second phase would be the extension to Bootstrap Drive, which would allow the development of the second phase to the north of Roanoke. And then the third phase is this area back here that would be developed later. The last portion of Roanoke Drive in blue, that would be financially guaranteed and would be installed at some point in the future whenever Roanoke is extended to Tire Road. Along with that, there will be 5-foot sidewalks on both sides of Roanoke Drive. There will also be 4-foot sidewalks on one side of each local street. A 10-foot trail will be extended from the existing trail in Summerfield East up to Roanoke Drive. Landscaping, open space, details, and amenities will be reviewed with the PRO final plan at a later date, and a minimum livable floor area classification of 1,600 square feet must be noted on each final plat. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat with the 15 conditions provided in the staff report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
The commissioners have any questions for staff? Yes, Mr. Wallace.
I have one. The roads, that's gonna be done at the same time or before it's?
The streets will, and I might let Assistant Public Works Director answer that, but Roanoke will need to be extended before the final plat for the first phase will be approved, at least this section here.
Are there any other questions? Okay. I would entertain a motion Oh, call for the applicant. Well, I'm just messing this one up tonight,
That's
aren't
okay,
I?
it's your first one, sorry.
Okay, I've got it written down here. Would the applicant like to come forward? No, he doesn't need to be sworn in.
My name is Paul Miller. I'm with Davidson Architecture and Engineering. And you need an address?
No.
No, okay. We're bringing tonight the preliminary plat for the Roanoke 22, which is a replat or a revision to the original plat that was submitted, or preliminary plat that was submitted some time ago. And the developer at this point is looking to build all of Roanoke Road to the end, to the east end of the property, and will likely build probably the first and second phases fairly quickly, and the third phase may come quicker than originally anticipated. So it may come, probably spring of 2018 for the development.
Does the commissioners have any questions for the applicant? Guess not.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now I can, are there any other questions or comments that commissioners want to have? All right, I'd go ahead and entertain a motion then.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Peil.
I move that preliminary plat PP 03175740 be approved with the 15 conditions as noted.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Commissioner Duhan? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, now we'll go on to the site plan design review for McDonald's on 40 Highway. And I think, Mr. Jury, there you are. Well, staff will make their presentation.
Thank you, Chairman Graham and Planning Commissioners.
Wrong
Or
chairman.
Chairman Banks, sorry.
That's all right, I'll
I'm so
switch
used
with
to
him right
saying
now. I'd be happy to switch.
I'm stuck in a rut.
That's all right. So am I.
So the site before you is located on 40 Highway at 920 Southwest westbound or eastbound 40 Highway. And it's about a 1.8 acre site. It's one lot. There's an existing McDonald's on the site. And the existing McDonald's is about 3,500 square feet. And the applicant is looking to do a total re-facade of the exterior of the building, and with the option of adding 360 square feet to the existing building as well, depending on structural, whether or not the structure can support that addition or not. So with that, it's general business zoning. Here's an aerial photo of the existing site along 40 Highway. Here is the proposed site plan with the addition, and you can see the addition in black, located on the western and southern portion of the building. It's only 360 square feet, and this addition doesn't encroach on any setbacks. It's far away enough from any property line that this won't impede or create any nonconformities. So there's no issue with the setbacks. The proposal also is to do the facade and then also add some sidewalk and an additional handicap parking space. Currently there's only two. They will remove one handicap parking space, or one parking space to make it a handicap parking space. And they're allowed to do that and reduce the parking count by one because they are well above the required parking for a structure of this site for a restaurant. They're also proposing to add a sidewalk that connects to the existing sidewalk along 40 Highway, which is definitely a welcome addition to get pedestrian traffic, or to give pedestrians a way to get to the front of the building. This is without the addition. As you can see, the existing facade does move in and out a little bit from left to right on the western portion of the building. All of the site improvements would be the same in either case. One item that I would like to mention is that the applicant is proposing to remove a berm that used to be required under an old code along 40 Highway. It's not required anymore, and so they're proposing to remove that berm. And if there are any plants that are damaged in that process, staff does recommend that they would like a condition that requires them to replace any plants that they do remove or damage during the process of removing that berm. The exterior facade, which sees the most change, I'll show you a picture of that. Here's the color photo, or color rendering of that with the addition. And this is from the front elevation on top, on the drive-through side on the bottom, and then the rear, and then the non-drive-through side on the bottom, which the non-drive-through side is the portion of the building that would have that 360 square foot addition, the rear and the non-drive-through side. They do meet the requirements for the front facade in terms of transparency for the first floor. They have good transparency along that whole front with all the windows that they have provided. And the elevations without the addition are shown here. So there's a little bit of a divot where the elevations change, but not a significant amount of change between the two, with and without the addition. With that, staff does recommend approval of this site plan design review with the option to do either or, to do the addition or not, and with the 4 conditions outlined in the staff report. If there are any questions, I'll stand to answer.
Are there any questions? Okay. All right, thank you very much. Would the applicant like to come forward? That's all right, we can't see it Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeff Brock. I'm with the Farnsworth Group. I'm here representing McDonald's tonight and asking for your help to get this project to go forward. McDonald's has targeted this particular site for an upgrade to improve building appearance, improve building capacity, improve the drive-through experience. I'd like to thank Nate for kind of giving you all the background on the project. McDonald's feels that these upgrades are necessary to remain viable and competitive in the area. I really don't know that I can expound any more other than what Nate had provided. If you have any questions at all, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Are there any questions for the applicant?
I have a question for you. Looking at some of the other McDonald's in the area, with your extension, will you be adding something interiorly, for example, for kids, like area for kids to play, or what exactly will you be doing to the interior of the building?
I believe the interior right now is meant for building capacity. It's along the 9 drive-through side, which is the dining area, the restrooms and storage, I do not believe there are any intentions to add a specific designated area for children.
I see. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions for the applicant? Together not. Thank you, sir. Is there any further discussion? All right, I'd entertain a motion then.
Madam Chairman?
Is that Mr. Graham? I almost said chairman, chair, yes.
I would move for approval of McDonald's Site Plan Design Review SPDR-05-17-5798. And were there staff recommendations?
Okay, there are four
With the four staff recommendations.
Very good. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Craddolph. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that has been approved. Thank you. We'll go to the next. Number 5 is also the site plan and design for McDonald's on South 7 Highway. And I think Mr. Wright's got that one.
Yep, thank you, Chairman Banks and
Thank you.
Commissioners. Before you this evening is a request for site plan design review for McDonald's at 3116 Southwest 7 Highway. This request includes a 280 square foot addition, a full facade update, and a minor parking lot improvement. The main improvements to the site include a 280 square foot building addition at the rear of the property adjacent to the drive-through. That would be the east end of the building. That would primarily be used as a freezer addition for capacity. There will also be a 5-foot sidewalk connection that would come out of the main entrance on the front of the building out to the Southwest 7 Highway sidewalk. And then there's also much like with the last McDonald's, there's a complete facade improvement that includes removing the existing mansard roof and replacing that with a parapet wall that will have metal accents for a more modern appearance. The remainder of the building will be primarily brick and ephes that will have corrugated metal paneling. And then aluminum banding and aluminum awnings over the main entrances and the drive-through windows. The building meets the minimum transparency requirements of 30% at the pedestrian level on the front of the building. They are providing 61% transparency on the front of the building with the wall of windows below the main roof line. New signage will also be reviewed administratively through the sign permitting process. Any signage that does not meet the sign code will come through with a alternative or master sign plan. And then staff does recommend approval of the site plan design review with the 3 conditions and the staff report. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
The commissioners have any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Would the applicant like to come forward again?
It's pretty much the same. McDonald's has targeted this in needing an upgrade as well for capacity and appearance to improve the drive-through experience. Any questions you might have?
Do the commissioners have any questions for the applicant?
Will you be widening the parking area on the west side? Will it all remain the same? I know you mentioned you were going to add a handicap parking space.
The previous development on this addressed all the ADA parking issues, so we're not planning on, at this time, doing any other parking enhancements.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there, yes, Mr. Peil.
Mr.
Commissioner
Rocco,
Peil.
I'd like to make a statement. These buildings have long needed improvement, so it's nice to see that there's being something done.
Thank you.
Mhm. Any other comments or questions? All right, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Peil.
I move that SPDR 05175798, sorry, that's the wrong one. SPDR 05175799 be approved with the 3 conditions as stated.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Duhon? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, now we'll go to, I believe we're going to hear 6, 7, 8 together. Is that correct, Mr. Jury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and that is the sports and luxury auto. And I believe we'll vote on 6 separately, I believe. And all separately? Okay, thank you for,
Thank you, Chairman Banks.
thank
and
you.
Planning Commissioners. Before you is the sports and luxury auto, the site plan design review and preliminary plat and final plat, which is located on the northeast corner of Woods Chapel and Interstate 70. As you can see in this map here, it's light industrial zoning, and there's an existing building on it that has been vacant for a little while. The property has gone through a couple applications already. One was a variance through the Board of Adjustment that actually reduced the setback for the paving. And today we'll look at reducing the landscape buffer for them as well to correlate with that variance. Also, they went through the conditional use permit, and the Planning Commission here approved the conditional use permit for the sale of vehicles. And that was in February, actually just this year. Here's the site plan showing the whole site. There's the existing buildings, and the change in use doesn't require them to update the existing buildings. They are planning on doing some maintenance to them, whether it's painting or some general just upkeep that has been sorely needed in their vacancy. But the majority of the development of this site is doing to the actual paving, landscaping, and other site improvements outside of the building. As you can see in this site plan, there will be a sidewalk that's connecting the property to the existing sidewalk along Northwest Woods Chapel. That'll connect to the main office building, which is here, and then the separate building located in this area. Part of it will be a showroom, so the northern part is a showroom, and then the southern part will be where they detail cars. The parking lot has 16 spaces, which meets the requirement of 15 spaces for the customers, and they do have an additional 10 spaces for their vehicle displays. The existing building does encroach on the setback on the eastern boundary. There is a 25-foot setback required, but since it is a non-conforming building, it does keep its grandfathered status, and the 8.3-foot setback that it currently has existing can stay and remain. The lot is accessed through Northwest Woods Chapel through an access easement that is actually through the property to the north, and that's a recorded easement, so they do have access to a public way even if it's not through their own property. The site will then be utilized by customers coming through or trucks and whatnot that'll drop vehicles off as well. The main thing for parking is that the applicant did show a couple things, I guess, and they gave a couple options. One of them for bike parking. They provided a couple options. The U in this area right here, the U bike rack, or just a general bicycle rack that is over on this side. And the inverted U rack is the preferred type by the American Bicycle and Pedestrian Association. And so that's the bike rack that we would prefer. And then the trash enclosure, which will be located in the southeastern portion of the site, just down here. They gave two options, one a wood option and one a concrete block option, and staff recommendation is for the concrete block option and paint it to match the existing building. Let's see. So the main issues on this is to deal with landscaping. It's a small site, and a lot of buffers were required for this development. And if we required all of the buffers that are required, they'd take up I believe over 30% of their site would be just in landscaping. And for such a small site, that's quite a burden. So our code does allow, with planning commission approval, a reduction in that buffer requirement, or even the removal of that buffer requirement if the intent of the code is still met. With that, the applicant is submitting an alternative compliance landscape plan and asking for a reduction of the buffer along the west and the east boundaries, from a 15-foot requirement to the 5-foot requirement. And then they're also requesting a buffer reduction on the southern boundary, from the 15-foot requirement to a 0-foot, or a removal of that buffer entirely, with that being along the Interstate 70 off-ramp. Staff does believe that this is an acceptable formation, since it does take into account the view along Woods Chapel, and then also along the development to the east, buffering from there. And it also does take up 12.7% of the site in their current form of proposed buffers, which is more than the 10% required to meet the threshold to take planning commission approval. So staff does recommend that the buffers be approved in this formation. One other thing that the applicant is requesting is that the landscaping in the right-of-way also be counted towards their plant unit requirements. They do have a small amount of space, and trying to fit everything in that's required is pretty difficult to do. So they reached out to MoDOT, and MoDOT sent myself an email saying that landscaping in general in the right-of-way is acceptable, and the landscaping proposed on this western portion of the site would be in the MoDOT right-of-way. So staff would require that a MoDOT approval of the actual landscaping plan and how it sits and everything should be required before building permit approval. The last thing on this site, here's the elevation of the building, the existing sign there as well. The signage as shown is not approved with this application. The applicant does intend to install a wall sign and wants to utilize the existing pole sign. However, the conditional use permit does have a condition stating the applicant will remove the pole sign and replace it with a monument sign that meets sign code. Pole signs, however, are allowed along the I-70 corridor with a master sign plan. Therefore, staff does recommend that this pole sign would be removed unless a master alternative sign plan addresses the existing pole sign, that addresses the existing pole sign is submitted within 90 days of this site plan design review approval. Otherwise, it should be removed. With that, staff does recommend approval of this site plan design review with 7 conditions. I'll stand for any questions.
Are there any
Sure.
questions? Yes, Commissioner Peil.
Mr. Jury, if MoDOT does not agree with the landscape plan, what happens? Do they remove all buffers at that point, or enlighten me if you would?
MoDOT is fine with landscaping, but I think the main issue is just the site triangle issue, and making sure all of the landscaping is outside of that site triangle. So some of the taller landscaping might have to be replaced with smaller landscaping.
Smaller bushes.
Mhm. But the plant units should still be met either way.
Okay. One additional question: are you aware of any plan to do the applicant to submit a master alternate plan? Sign plan?
From my understanding, they definitely want to use the pole sign, but from Planning Commission's direction, it doesn't seem like that's a possibility. So they haven't given me an idea either way.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jury. Thank you, Chair.
I do have a question, Mr. Jury. Is this on a bike path? I guess I can't remember that they would need a bicycle rack.
Yeah, Woods Chapel is required, or an actual bike path in the comprehensive plan, and whether or not it has a bike lane currently,
I don't recall a bike lane being there. That's why I can't.
Well, in the comprehensive plan, I guess we designate bike lanes across the city, whether it's a future bike lane or a current bike lane. And so anything within, whether it's a future bike lane or a current bike lane, does need to provide those bicycle racks.
And they are allowed to put whatever rack they want in there. I know you have your preference, but is that what you say?
We do have a recommendation to adhere to the American Bicycle and Pedestrian Association's guidelines in terms of how or what type of bicycle and pedestrian improvements they propose, and the bike rack is lower on their list of guidelines than the inverted U bike rack.
But they're still allowed to pick which one they want.
Yeah, yeah, if they want.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? All right. I'd like to hear from the applicant if you want. Is the applicant here? I'd like to make a presentation.
My name is Ellis Gorden, and I'm the owner of the property. And I've really don't have much to add, but as good as job as he did. Might tell you our overall goal was to sell high-end, expensive sports cars and luxury cars, which will limit it to probably 8 or 10. So it won't be a crowded lot with small cars. It'll be a very low profile with nice cars. That's why we look forward to a very clean, nice look. If you look at the picture, we're interested in the landscaping. We're interested in the building looking attractive, the parking lot being attractive. And I don't know if this is anything, but we've often thought about people that fly in. They have a motel behind us, and it's pretty convenient. You come into the airport, you get off, the first exit is our driveway. So it's convenient. So we look forward to getting the application so we can move forward on the paving and completing it.
Are there any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Now, we've got 3 items, so then we'll go with number 6, which is the site plan design review. So do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair, I would
Yes,
move
Commissioner
for
Grant.
approval of the site plan design review for sports and luxury auto, case SPDR-05-17-5835 with the 7 staff conditions.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Peil. Are all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Anyone opposed? All right, now we have the preliminary plat, also for sports luxury. Do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Peil?
I move that preliminary plat PP 05175833 with the 3 conditions be approved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Commissioner Graham? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that'll be referred on to the city council? No? The final plat? Okay, thank you. All right, then we have the final plat, which is also sports and luxury. Do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Peil?
I move that final plat PF 05175834 be approved as submitted.
Okay, do I hear a second? Commissioner Wallace? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the final plat will be referred to the city council. Thank you. All right, now we'll go on to the master alternative sign plan for Snowball Cove. And I think Mr. Jury's got that one too.
Thank you, Chairman Banks. Before you is the master alternative sign plan for Snowball Cove, and it's at 200 Northwest 7 Highway. And it's the old site of the Sheridan's frozen custard that used to be there. And a lot of the signage that is existing, I should say, was approved previously when the site was Sheridan's. But currently, the Snowball Cove is a shaved ice stand that is looking to approve a sign on the northern building or northern facade of the building. So it'll be on the north side facing southbound traffic. And that's the only sign that they're looking at really right now. All the other signs that they have been approved already, since they are replacing signs that are already existing, and as such they're allowed to put all of the other signs in those locations. But the proposed sign, as you can see, is on the north side of the building. There's an existing menu board, an existing wall sign, and then an existing monument sign on the southern line of that building. Here's the sign that they're proposing on the north side of the building, and it meets all of the requirements. If we would allow 10% of the facade to be covered on a facade that doesn't face the right of way or is not the main entrance. There's the existing sign on the 7 Highway side, the existing monument sign, and then the existing menu board as well. The allowance of signs on the north side the side of the building that isn't facing the street or above a main entrance has been allowed in the past, and staff does believe that this request is reasonable, and with such, staff does recommend approval of this application with one condition.
Are there any questions for Mr. Jury? Okay. Would the applicant like to come forward?
I'm Mark Jones from Royal Signs and Graphics, and I don't really have anything to add that Nathan hasn't already said. I just thought I'd step up here, and it's just a sign that if you come from the north side heading south, you have a difficult time seeing their front sign because of just the way the building is shaped, and it would just help their visibility. And that's really all they're trying to do, is just allow people as they come down 7 Highway to see them before they get there. And so that's it. Thank you very much.
Any questions for the applicant?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
I think that's well needed. I was passed there the other day, and I had noticed that Sheridan's wasn't there anymore, and that was the Snowball Cove. So I think that sign will help you with your business objective. So it's good to see.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? All right, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Wait a minute, I got three of you. Okay.
I move that ASP-05-17-5826 be approved with one condition.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Haney, heard you first, sorry. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
how did we get out of here without a cheeseburger or a snow cone tonight?
I don't know. I'm already, and it's hot out, so we'll probably have to go. Okay. Let's go to number 10. Well, we haven't got out of here yet. All right, master sign, alternative sign plan for White Oak Marketplace.
Thank you, Chairman Banks.
Mr. Jury, here we are again.
All right. Before you is the request from the applicant to approve the master alternative sign plan for White Oak Marketplace. It's located at 1101 Southwest 7 Highway. It's the site for the, and they're incorporating, I guess, 3 lots, or 4 lots technically, and one's a tract. But the proposed site for the Price Chopper and Johnny's Tavern, as well as the retail building along 7 Highway, and the future Lot 3, which is on the north side along Southwest Sunset Avenue. And all 3 combined, they were allowed to have quite a bit of signage, and they're just looking to rearrange how that signage is allowed in each lot. So I'll go over all of that here. Their main proposal includes 26 signs for a total of 1,620 square feet, and then Lot 3 will also have an additional 600 square feet located on that site. But they don't know how that's going to lay out exactly, so they don't have any plans showing how that 600 on Lot 3 will be arranged at this point. But the current proposal does have 1 monument sign, 4 informational signs, and 21 wall signs. The main outstanding points on this proposal are the informational signs, which are a little bit larger than allowed by code. Also the monument sign, which is larger and taller than allowed by code. And also the wall signs that are on the north and south side of building, the retail building, which don't face the street, and it also doesn't face or isn't above the main entrance. So they technically aren't allowed, but as was the case previously tonight, we do allow those, or we have allowed those in the past, and staff does believe that it's a reasonable request. As for the other 2 issues, the informational signs, there are a few of them on site, and like a couple of them being the drive-through or the pharmacy sign, grocery pickup sign, and a couple, I believe, just directional signs here and there on the site. And they are just a little bit larger. They are, let's see, there's one that's 7 square feet, another one that's 4 square feet, and the maximum is 3 square feet for an informational sign. But with a site this large, there's a lot of parking area, and people need to be able to see informational signs, directional signs from far away. So staff does believe that request is also reasonable. The last main issue is with the monument sign, and code does allow a maximum height of the monument sign of 12 feet and 91 square feet in size. And the applicant is looking at a sign that is 24 feet tall, and also 144 square feet in size for the signage area, which is over the allowed sign area, but the applicant has provided some justification for the taller monument sign, including continuity within the corridor, terrain, and visibility as well. Let's see. The monument sign is located just on the south side, along 7 Highway on the north side of the retail building, and it's located almost 30 feet from their property line, which the setback for a 12-foot sign is only 18 feet. So they are setting it back a lot farther than they are would be required to if they had a 12-foot sign, but they are asking for an additional quite a few feet in height, but the additional setback sort of will help mediate that difference. Staff does believe that that helps in some regard. The other point that the applicant has provided is that the terrain issues of this, let's see if I pass it, of this sign does show that the building is set quite a ways above where the sign's base will be, and if they had a 12-foot sign on top of where the building is also at, then it might be about that same height. But with the additional retaining wall and everything, the sign is definitely not any larger than the building or any taller than the building. It's well below that, and staff believes that it does fit in pretty well with the corridor and some of the existing signs there. Applicant did provide a couple corridor shots of other signs that are located. One of them being the existing sign located on site as well. Which this definitely does look a lot better than the existing sign. So with that, staff does recommend approval of the alternative sign plan, master alternative sign plan with 2 conditions, and we'll stand for any questions.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Peil, Commissioner Peil.
Mr. Journey, was the original master alternate sign plan for 30 foot, or the design, was it 30 foot, or is this 24 still what it was before?
Are you talking about what it previously was?
Yes.
Submitted by the applicant?
Yes.
It was previously 30 feet,
30 feet.
so they did drop it down to 24.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Chair.
Yes. Are there any other questions?
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to know, at this location, will there still be a public transit at this location as it was before?
Scott, do you know? I'm not sure. I'll defer to Scott.
Madam Chair, I'll probably defer the applicant, who is also the developer of the project. Perhaps he can explain some of that. That's still the drawing for a future transit stop. But again, with the sign plan before us this evening, that was not information we've provided or discussed at this point.
Okay. Thank you. I do have a question. On their list of all their signs, they're talking about the one on the east side of the building. Is that
Of the Price Chopper building, or?
right?
Okay.
And is that where the neighbors, where they're gonna add on residential?
No, the one on the east side would be where Johnny's.
Oh, east side,
Yeah,
okay.
east side.
I mean, I guess it's the west side.
No, the west side does have, I believe it's a
I said east.
informational sign, just like a
Just that?
truck entrance.
Okay.
I forget what exactly it says, but.
Okay, that's all.
But it's just an informational sign.
That's fine. I wanted to find out what that sign was. Why would they would need a sign over there?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? All right, would the applicant like to come forward?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Commission. Chris Hafner with Davidson Architecture and Engineering. Thanks for your time this evening. I'd like to maybe answer those couple of questions first. Back to yours. We're actually providing the e-service grocery pickup. So if you drive by the site, we actually have a canopy on that side. Parking spaces will go below that where you're clicking and ordering your groceries, pulling to that location and being able to pick them up through a service door at that location. So again, to Nathan's point, just the ability to get customers to that delivery pickup area where they can pick up their groceries that they've ordered online.
Okay,
To that. To answer the transit question, we did put in along Sunset a section of our sidewalk that was depressed in to allow the bus to pull there. I don't think we've gone into further detail. We just planned for it, made the accommodation for all of that for future bus stop use in that location. So it's along Sunset.
Thank you.
And I apologize. What was your question again?
It was whether the initial application was for 30 feet on the sign, and I understand it was.
It was. So I appreciate the time. Again, we're really excited. Hopefully everybody's driven by the site and seen how much progress we've made out there. I know the Cosentino family is excited to get that store open, and we're barreling ahead. So excited about that. We've got obviously 85,000 square feet dedicated to them with the new Price Chopper, Johnny's and Pacific Dental going in the attached 10,000 square foot building. And we're in the process right now of that Lot 1 building, which faces and sits out on Highway 7 right now, in process and all of that stuff. So I think we've been a good neighbor. We're excited to have that center transformed to a nice, safe parking lot. It's going to be well lit and well used. So that being said, we wanted to make sure we provided appropriate signage. We have competition, obviously, in the area that has a great location right at 40 and 7. And one of my tasks as their architect was to make sure the building was sitting in an appropriate location where from 40 and 7, everyone would know Price Chopper is right there. It's another option for the grocers, hopefully a nice, new, better option for everyone. So we did that. We got a parking lot that's nice and flat across that site. And with that came some challenges along the 7 highway, with our access point being fixed at that signalized intersection. We do have an old sign in that location. As I worked with Nathan and Jim Holly and Scott through the process, that sign was left on the concept plans through the final development and things like that. We didn't know exactly what to do, but we knew as a group we wanted an enhanced monument sign that would speak to the architecture of the rest of the development. We're trying to do something really nice. Hopefully everyone agrees with that, and we feel like this sign, sitting 8 feet lower than the current sign does, putting a nice base on it that again gets that height up a little bit, but gives us the opportunity to put in the landscaping that's required around the site and not cover signs or signage opportunities with some landscaping. And then, some architectural features on the top that get it to 24 feet. We did some studies that you saw there with Revit and SketchUp and some of the models that we have architecturally to show our clients what that sign would look like from the intersection. We all agreed that working with staff, we could go back down to 24 feet from our original intention of 30 and still essentially stay under the size of Lot 1, where this potential retail building would go, much lower than a lot of other signs in the area, and be consistent with the architecture of our development. I don't think I need to go too much farther on that point. Again, we did ask for a couple alternative signs on those buildings, north and south sides of Lot 1, again, just to get that signage. We do have a very interested user on the north side of that building that would love to have that signage, and I think it'd be an asset to the city. And then, yes, the directional sign. We have many tenants within that Price Chopper building. We want to make sure they have appropriate signage and opportunity for people to utilize those facilities within the Price Chopper. That being said, Mr. Tripp Ross with Cadence Commercial, as well as Development Associates, the owner and developer of this project, is here. We can answer any questions you have about the development or specifically about the signage. Thank you for your time.
Do the commissioners have any questions they'd like to address? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Haney?
make a motion to approve master alternate sign plan ASP 03175743, White Oak Marketplace with 2 conditions.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Peil? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, master alternative sign plan for Neaters. Mr. Jury again, here we go.
Thank you, Chairman Banks. Before you is the application, or the request for the approval of the master alternative sign plan for Neaters, which is located at 800 Northeast Coronado, and which is in its own separate lot, but it used to be the lot owned by Home Depot within their parking lot. Currently under construction, as you guys probably know since you approved the site plan design review. But the applicant is requesting signage on the on several sides of the building, but the main 2 that do not meet code are the east and the west sides. The east side does face a private drive. It almost acts like a public drive, but it is privately owned, that Walmart and Home Depot share that private drive. The other side doesn't face anything beyond just oncoming traffic, but so the east and west are technically not allowed, but as previously tonight we have approved plans with signage on either side, that if it's not allowed by code but has a reasonable request for it. Beyond that, they are requesting for a menu board, also a couple drive-through entrance signs, and we'll run through where they're located on each elevation as well. There's a close-up of the drive-through sign, also the menu board. And with that, staff does recommend approval with two conditions, and stand for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for staff? Okay, would the applicant like to come forward?
Hello, my name is Michael Schmidt, and I'm with Infinity Sign Systems, and we are the installer for these signs for Neaters. And Nathan did a really good job with his presentation. There is 2 additional wall signs we're asking for, and the directional signs, I believe, are slightly larger than what the city code allows, but we think they're not too overpowering, and the menu is needed to allow people that visit the site to place their order for the drive-through window.
Are there any questions for the applicant?
And the informational signs do meet sign code. They're 3 square feet. So.
Okay, thank you.
Well, all right. I guess not. Thank you very much. This is all making us hungry. All right, is there, it's all food. Almost.
No cones, no bread. No.
Okay.
Burgers.
Do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair.
Yeah, who was that?
Commissioner Graham.
Commissioner Graham, oh yeah. I'm not used to hearing your voice.
I would move for approval of Neaters Bakery and Cafe Alternative Sign Plan.
Okay.
ASP-05-17-5832 with the 2, I believe it was 2 staff conditions.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Commissioner Duhan, thank you for being a little louder. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, but we're all gonna go eat after this. Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And as far as other business, I think I have something I would like to share with you, if I can be the one to get to share it. If you have no objections to canceling the meeting for Monday, June 26th, since there are no agenda items. That would be one of the things I would need a motion on.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
I move that the June 22nd meeting be canceled.
26th.
26th, sorry, as submitted by chair.
Okay, anyone?
Second.
Second. Okay, Commissioner Graham. All those in favor of canceling the June 26th, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, what about other business? Did I
Yes,
spoil your thing?
No, you're quite right.
Okay.
Chairman Banks, appreciate it. Just a few quick announcements from staff. One, do want to acknowledge, I think the remaining gentleman in the audience is David McCumber. He's our summer intern from UMKC.
Welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Sorry, we should have introduced you earlier.
Also, as promised several weeks ago, myself, Matt Wright here, and Commissioner Peil completed our summaries of the National Planning Conference from last month, all the sessions we attended. I think Commissioner Peil wins for length of document, so be prepared. It's very full and comprehensive, and puts mine and Matt's to shame for sure. So just in terms of the content in there, so you'll see pretty clearly and pretty quickly the real quality of sessions that we all attended. So certainly well worthwhile. I mentioned that only to say we don't have those here to hand out per se tonight, but we'll email those through Karen this week, if not tomorrow. So look for those in your email inboxes, and a lot of those will have some hyperlinks, some links to different information online. So sorry for the delay, but again, we were waiting for a lot of the presentations to get uploaded onto the National APA website. So that is for the most part done. I think there are a few things that we're still missing, but we filled it in as best we could. So look for that. And finally, again, the next meeting will be Monday, July 10th. Hard to believe I'm saying middle of July for our next meeting, but there it is. We do have a few items already on that agenda. We have, as you heard this evening, the first item was the rezoning for the gardens at Colonial Highlands. Presuming that moves forward with City Council next Monday, they have submitted a preliminary plat for that project, and then we also have preliminary and final plat for Putnam Acres, which is at 1390 Southwest Liggett Road. That went through some processes with, I believe, variances at Board of Adjustment and such. It's just a subdivision of some existing land for a single family residence, so on Liggett Road. So that's what we have at the moment. That may change perhaps between now and July 10th, but that's what we have looking forward to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Allen, I'd like to thank you for the accolades. And all that are here, keep in mind that when you look at mine, that at the very end, I had one poster, not a comment, but I had a poster view. In other words, in the event center, exhibition center, there were a bunch of posters that were done by all of the interns, and I did view every one of the posters. But to keep, again, the length of the document in check, I only listed one. So keep that in mind as you go through it, but thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Madam Chair, if you look at the program alone for the planning conference, and there were hundreds upon hundreds of sessions. So although Commissioner Peil's is 30 pages long, that's only
You were very thorough.
That is still
Shorter than the agenda.
only a small snapshot of what was available. So, and we tried to spread that out as well. So you really shouldn't see any duplication, I believe, except for maybe one or two sessions with all three of our write-ups. So
It's hard to be able to go to everything, that you'd like to go to.
So you were not, although you will not be having a meeting on Monday, June 26th, you'll have certainly a lot of material to read between now and the next meeting. So thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Madam Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question. Is there in the master plan percentage allocation for multifamily units? It seems like we have processed many.
Madam Chair and Commissioner Fairbanks, yes, the comprehensive plan did look at that balance, as it were, or ratio.
Right.
And we were looking at about 30% for multifamily. Right now, we're around 26 to 28%. So, although you may be seeing additional projects or majority of the projects coming forward, as such, the overall balance is still within that margin for sure. So
Okay.
again, the goal is to have that balance up to 30%.
We had a sabbatical for several years where we would not, they would not approve multifamily. So and with the market the way it is now, it's just now coming back around where we need multifamily.
Okay.
So we went several years without it. I mean, I wasn't on the planning commission then, but I know that they did have a sabbatical with not approving them, so.
Okay, well, it just seems like there's been a ton of those as well as senior housing. And it's like, okay, we're gonna have lower income on
Well,
the
now we're
beginning
just-
and on the end.
We're just now coming back to balance again, so.
Okay.
All right, I think that because we have approved several single-family home projects as well, so I think
Okay.
that's,
Just wondering.
yes, sir.
Madam Chair, just one more real quick. Speaking of the comprehensive plan, thank you, Commissioner Fairbanks. One of the projects that Mr. McCumber is working on this summer is our next area plan or neighborhood plan. We did one last summer for kind of the northeast part of the city, and now we're looking kind of the east central part called C2. So if you look at the map of the specific or area plans of the comprehensive plan, C2 is what we're working on next. And so since it will be a while before our next meeting, just wanted to mention that. And you may see, again, you will have to look at some public informational meetings, data gathering, things like that. And you'll be invited and encouraged to participate with that as well.
Okay.
Any other news? Okay, thank you for all your patience and understanding with my first meeting. There were some flub-ups, but we got through it. All right, so now I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move the June 12th session of the Planning Commission be adjourned.
Thank you.
Second.
Second? Who was the second from? Travis. Oh. See, I'm used to telling you instead of you telling me. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting's adjourned.